Okay, hello. My name is Randy Heberlin. I'm from Ashland, Paul Blazer, and we have the venture of building a tiny house on wheels. Now, we started this venture last year, was our first year, and it was a lot of eye-opening experience for myself and the kids. Our first venture, and I said this last year, but we had to come up with a good name. And first of all, we started to call it a cat house, but we had some administration that didn't like that idea, so we had to go with Cats on Wheels, and it's worked out really great. And with the advent of all of our students and the help from our community, it's been a great involvement. I've been teaching for quite a few years, and this has been one of the biggest ventures, but also I think one of the most awarding for our students, because they get to actually see things that they see on TV when you watch these shows on tiny houses and all that. We actually got to build one last year, and they got to see it roll out the door and come up here, and they got to see some of the others. So this has been something great for our kids. And we talk about the adversity of all of our students from different levels. Well, a lot of our kids, they kind of came together, and you could see some of our kids stepping out and being leaders, taking on different roles and helping other students. So it's really been a benefit for them as much as me. I've also benefited from, last year we had 2 of our students that graduated that has gone into the construction trades. They didn't know what they were going to do, but with a little help of this and some of our unions coming in and talking to the kids, they've decided to go down that venture. And already this year we have went out to our carpenters building out on 64, and we've got about 6 kids that are interested in going into different trades in the construction field. So just this little project here has helped some of the kids come out. It's also helped with our community involvement. It was eye-opening that we had so many people come in from, such as contractors, we had health inspectors, building inspectors, all those wanted to come in and see it because this is such a new adventure that nobody has any rules and regulations on it. So they were coming in, putting their opinion on it, what was going to be good for them, if it was going to be a house, what they had to go about doing all this stuff. So it really worked out quite well that our kids got to meet all these inspectors. And fortunately or unfortunately for them, most of them was my former students. So I got to call on all these people to come in and pay a little bit back to their students, to theirs. So they got to come in and talk to them. We had the state building inspector that works out of Frankfurt, was one of my former students. He came up and got to talk to the kids. So it was interesting to see all these people come in. And I also had future or former students that were licensed plumbers, electricians, all that came in and helped us with our problem solving. And there was quite a few problems last year. So we've kind of narrowed it down this year to make it a little bit simpler so that we could do a little bit more with more kids. And it is exciting to see the kids that wanted to come up to class. They've quit being late to class. It's hard to take roll because they come in and go, can we get started? So they're already wanting to go out and get started, and it's not one of this, well, I was talking to somebody else or all this. You know, I'm sure some of the girlfriends and stuff like that gets a little upset because they say they got to get to class, so they're not late to class anymore. So that has helped out quite a bit. But anyway, it's been a great project, and hopefully this year we'll be able to continue on with it. All the stuff that they're learning is something else. You know, with everything that we're doing with the tiny house. I also teach a drafting class. So those kids in there they're more interested in the architectural field of drafting, going along that line, being an engineer. Well, when they actually get to draw and design something, and then they take that drawing and we kind of get a general consensus on it, we take it out and they actually get to build it. You know, it's kind of one thing to sit there and draw what a 2x4 looks like and all these other fixtures, but then when you go out there and you try to put them in place, and all of a sudden this sink doesn't fit here, or the steps aren't the right height, and they have to go back to the drawing board and they get to see that old scenario of, oh, I made a mistake over here, and you know, that sink just doesn't fit because I was off an inch one way or the other. So now they start learning reality when things don't work out in the real world, what you have to do with it. So it has been great that these kids get to take a project all the way from the start all the way through the finish. So it's been great. It's increased my enrollment in classes. It's just been something else great. You know, we're only hampered by a lot of times funding. So we've done little projects like this before, small outbuildings, things along that line. We do things for the school system and stuff, but nothing to this magnitude. And of course we couldn't have done it without our funding through KVEC, but still, it's been great. And now that we've got it started, we hope we can continue on with it and go on from there. You know, so, you know, that being said, you can see our last year's project, when we started out with the trailer and we ended up with the finished house, pulling it out of there. It was great, and like I said, I have involved so many of my former students, all the way from this poster. One of my students has a sign company in town, so they did this for us. And then, like I said, I've got so many others that come in that I call on to come in and help us out with things. So it has been really great as far as that goes with the involvement, and it also helps. They come in, our kids get to meet them. We talk about how proper etiquette is. You know, you don't just come up to somebody and talk to them and say things like, hey, what y'all doing? You know, you kind of use a little proper, and it also helps with how they dress at school, all these things. So it's been really great as far as that goes. Now, anybody got any questions? I don't want to continue on too long, but I could stand up here all day and talk about it. But, you know, if you have any questions, or if you're ever around Ashland sometime, you need to come up and visit us. We'd love to have you. Okay? No, it was sold, went up north somewhere. I'm not sure. It was auctioned off here, and they took it up there. Yes. So, and we've also had some people come in from the community that are interested in different versions of the tiny house. We've had some people come in and want to talk to us about making a portable shower house for the riverside, making a hunting cabin that you could take out in the wilderness somewhere and leave it, and 4 or 5 guys could come in and just stay for a week or so while they're deer hunting. So that's been great that we're trying to, you know, work on that also. So that helps the kids to know there is some variety to it. So, okay. Anything else? All righty. Well, thank you all.